Some childhood memories never fade. They hide in the corners of your mind, waiting. These are those stories. I need to get this out. Maybe it'll help me sleep again. When I was 7, my parents started using this babysitter named Miss Carol. She came every Thursday night while my parents went to their book club. Miss Carol was old, maybe 60 or 70, with gray hair always in a tight bun. She wore the same flower dress every single time. The first night she came, she gave me a list of rules. Not normal babysitter rules like bedtime at 8 or no TV after 9. These were different. Rule 1, never look under the couch in the living room. Rule 2, if you hear scratching from inside the walls, ignore it. Rule 3, do not go into the basement for any reason. Rule 4, if someone knocks on the door after dark, don't answer it even if they sound like your parents. Rule 5, stay in your room after 10 p.m. no matter what you hear. I asked her why these were the rules. She just smiled and said, "Your house has quirks, sweetie. These rules keep you safe." The way she said quirks made my skin crawl. But I was 7. I didn't question adults back then. The first few weeks were fine. I heard scratching in the walls sometimes, just like she said I would. It sounded like fingernails dragging across wood. I ignored it like I was supposed to. One night I dropped my toy car and it rolled under the couch. I remembered Rule 1, but I was a kid. Curiosity won. I got on my stomach and looked under the couch with my flashlight. There were photographs under there. Dozens of them. All of children. Different kids, different ages. But they all had one thing in common. They were all looking at the camera with terrified expressions. Some were crying. Some looked like they were screaming. The photos were old and yellow. I grabbed one and saw a date written on the back, 1987. That was before I was even born. I heard Miss Carol's footsteps coming down the hall. I shoved the photo in my pocket and pretended to be looking for my car. She appeared in the doorway and just stared at me. Her smile was gone. "Did you look under the couch?" she asked. Her voice was different, colder. I lied and said no. She kept staring at me for what felt like forever. Then her smile came back. "Good. That's very good." That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about those photos. Around midnight, I heard my bedroom door open. I kept my eyes closed and pretended to sleep. I felt someone sit on the edge of my bed. The mattress dipped down under their weight. Then I felt cold fingers touch my face, tracing along my cheek and forehead. It was Miss Carol. I could smell her perfume, that sickly, sweet, flowery smell she always wore. She whispered, "You're such a pretty child. Such a pretty, pretty child." Then she did something that still haunts me. She pulled something out of her pocket. Even with my eyes closed, I heard the click of a camera. She took my picture. Then she stood up and left the room. I told my parents the next morning. I showed them the photo I had taken from under the couch. My dad's face went white. He recognized the child in the photo. It was his older brother, Tommy, who had disappeared in 1987 when he was 9 years old. They never found him. My dad had been 6 when it happened. The police came. They searched under our couch, but the photos were gone. They went to Miss Carol's address, the one she had given my parents. The house had been abandoned for 15 years. They searched it anyway. In the basement, they found a dark room. There were hundreds of photos pinned to the walls. All children. All terrified. Some of the photos were recent. Some were from the 1950s. They never found Miss Carol. She vanished completely. No real name, no social security number, nothing. The agency my parents used to find her had no record of her ever working there. It was like she never existed, but she did exist. I know she did. Because 2 weeks after she disappeared, I found something in my backpack. It was a photo of me sleeping in my bed. On the back, written in neat handwriting, it said, "Such a pretty child. I'll be back for you when you're ready." I'm 32 now. I check under every couch before I sit down. I still have that photo locked in a safe. And every few years I receive a postcard in the mail. There's never a message, just a picture of a different child. A different terrified face. The scratching in the walls never stopped, even after we moved. Story 2. The Sleepover. This happened when I was 10. My best friend David invited me to sleep over at his house for the first time. I was excited because David had always seemed cool, and his parents were nice whenever I saw them. His house was huge, one of those old Victorian homes with lots of rooms and weird angles. Everything was normal until bedtime. David's room was on the second floor, and we were supposed to sleep in sleeping bags on his floor. Around 9 p.m., his mom came in and told us goodnight. Then she said something strange. "Boys, if you hear footsteps in the hallway tonight, just keep the door closed and stay quiet." Do you understand? We both nodded, but I was confused. David didn't seem surprised at all. After she left, I asked David what that was about. He got really quiet and said, "There's someone else in the house." I thought he was joking, trying to scare me. But he wasn't smiling. He explained that there was a man who lived in the walls. Not a ghost, he said. A real person. They didn't know who he was or how long he'd been there. But sometimes at night, he came out and walked around. I wanted to call my parents to pick me up, but David begged me not to. He said his family would be embarrassed. He promised nothing bad would happen as long as we followed the rules. Don't open the door. Don't make noise. Don't acknowledge him. Around 11 p.m. I heard it. Footsteps in the hallway. Slow, heavy footsteps. They stopped right outside David's door. The doorknob started turning back and forth, like someone was testing to see if it was locked. David grabbed my arm and put his finger to his lips. We sat there frozen, watching the doorknob turn. Then it stopped. The footsteps continued down the hallway. I barely slept. Every creak made me jump. Around 3 a.m., I woke up and realized David's door was open. Just a few inches, but it was definitely open. I knew we had locked it. I looked at David, but he was asleep. Then I saw something that made my blood turn cold. There was a man standing in the doorway. He was tall and thin, wearing dirty clothes. His hair was long and matted. He was just standing there, looking into the room. Not at me specifically, just looking, like he was studying the room. Then slowly, he raised one hand and waved. Not a friendly wave. A slow, deliberate wave, like he was saying hello to someone he knew. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. I just watched as he stood there for what felt like an hour, but was probably only a minute. Then he stepped back and slowly closed the door. I heard his footsteps fade down the hallway. I didn't sleep after that. I lay there staring at the door until sunrise. In the morning, I told David what happened. He went pale. He said the man had never come into anyone's room before. He usually just walked the hallways. The fact that he opened the door was new. David made me promise not to tell anyone, especially not his parents. He said they were trying to get rid of him, but it was complicated. I went home that morning and told my parents I didn't feel well. I never went back to David's house. We stayed friends at school, but I always made excuses when he invited me over. A few months later, David's family moved away suddenly, like in the middle of the school year, which was weird. David didn't even say goodbye. Years later, in high school, I found an old newspaper article online. David's old house had been torn down. During demolition, they found a hidden space behind the walls on the second floor. It was big enough for a person to stand in. There was a sleeping bag, empty food containers, and scratch marks all over the walls. Deep scratch marks, like someone had been clawing at the wood for years. They also found a collection of personal items. Jewelry, watches, photographs, all taken from different homes in the neighborhood over a span of 30 years. Some of the photographs were of children sleeping in their beds. One of them was of me, asleep in David's room that night. The police never found the man. But sometimes, late at night, I think about how he waved at me. Like he was saying goodbye. Or maybe see you later. Story 3, The Forest Game. When I was 12, my family moved to a small town in Oregon. Our backyard bordered a huge forest. Dense pine trees that seemed to go on forever. The first week there, I met a kid named Aaron who lived down the street. He was 13 and seemed cool. He told me about this game kids in the neighborhood played in the forest. The game was called Find the Watcher. The rules were simple. You go into the forest alone, walk for exactly 100 steps, then stop and count to 30. While you're counting, someone or something in the forest will start watching you. You have to find them before they find you. If you spot them first, you win and run back home. If they spot you first, you have to follow the trail of ribbons they leave behind. The ribbons lead deeper into the forest. I asked Aaron what happens if they spot you first and you follow the ribbons. He got quiet and said no one who followed the ribbons ever came back the same. They all came home eventually, but something was different about them. He wouldn't explain more than that. Being a stupid kid, I wanted to play. A group of us went to the edge of the forest one Saturday afternoon. I volunteered to go first. I walked 100 steps into the trees, my heart pounding. Then I stopped and started counting. The forest was completely silent. No birds, no wind, nothing. When I got to 30, I opened my eyes. That's when I saw it. About 50 feet away, standing between two pine trees, was a person. At least I think it was a person. It was tall, maybe 7 feet and completely still. It wore dark clothes, or maybe it was just dark itself. I couldn't see a face. But I knew it was looking at me. I remembered the rules. I spotted it first, so I won. I turned and ran as fast as I could back toward home. But when I got to where my friends should have been, they were gone. The edge of the forest looked different. The trees were thicker, darker. I tried to retrace my steps, but everything looked the same. That's when I saw the first ribbon. It was tied to a low branch, a strip of faded red cloth. Then I saw another one a few feet away, and another. They formed a trail leading deeper into the forest. I knew I shouldn't follow them, but I was lost. I thought maybe they'd lead me out a different way. I followed the ribbons for what felt like hours. The forest got darker even though it was still afternoon. The trees seemed to lean in closer. I started hearing things behind me. Footsteps that matched my own. Breaking branches when I broke branches. Heavy breathing when I stopped to catch my breath. Finally, the ribbons led me to a clearing. In the center was an old stone well. It looked ancient, covered in moss and surrounded by dead grass. The final ribbon was tied to the well's edge. I walked closer and looked down into it. It was so deep I couldn't see the bottom. Just darkness. Then I heard a voice. It came from inside the well. A child's voice. "Did you win?" it asked. I stepped back, terrified. "Did you win the game?" the voice asked again. I didn't answer. Then I heard other voices join in. Dozens of children's voices, all echoing up from the well. "Did you win?" Did you win? Did you win? I ran. I didn't follow the ribbons back. I just ran in a straight line, crashing through branches and bushes. I don't know how long I ran, but eventually I burst out of the forest near my house. My parents were in the backyard, frantic. They said I'd been gone for 6 hours. I never told them what happened. But Aaron was right. Something was different after that. I started having these dreams where I was back at the well. And every night the children's voices got closer to the top. Like they were climbing up. I'm 28 now. I moved away from that town years ago. But last month I got a package in the mail. Inside was a strip of red ribbon with a note. The note said, "You never answered the question. Did you win?" I haven't slept well since. And sometimes late at night I hear children's voices asking, "Did you win? Did you win?" Story 4. The Birthday Party. I was 8 when this happened. My mom threw me a birthday party and invited kids from my class. One kid who came was named Marcus. I didn't really know him. He was quiet and always sat alone at lunch. But my mom made me invite the whole class, so he got an invitation. Marcus showed up in clothes that looked too big for him. He didn't talk to anyone. He just stood in the corner of our backyard watching everyone play. When it was time for cake, he sat at the end of the table. I noticed he didn't eat any. He just stared at the candles after I blew them out. When the party was over and kids were leaving, Marcus came up to me. He handed me a wrapped present. It was the only gift that wasn't a toy or game. When I opened it, it was a small wooden box. Inside was a piece of paper with an address written on it. Nothing else. Just an address. Marcus leaned close and whispered, "Come visit me. But only after dark. And come alone." Then he left before I could say anything. I thought it was weird, but I was a kid. Weird things happened all the time. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about the address. I knew I shouldn't go, but curiosity ate at me. Around 10 p.m., I snuck out of my house. The address wasn't far, just a few blocks away. When I got there, I found an old apartment building. It looked abandoned. Most of the windows were broken. The front door was hanging off its hinges. I should have turned around. I should have gone home. But something pulled me inside. The address said apartment 3B. I climbed the dark stairs to the 3rd floor. The hallway smelled like mold and rot. I found apartment 3B and knocked softly. The door opened immediately, like Marcus had been waiting right there. "You came," he said, smiling for the first time since I'd met him. "Come in, I want to show you something." The apartment was empty. No furniture, no lights, nothing. Just bare walls and dirty floors. Marcus led me to a back room. That's where I saw them. Candles. Dozens of candles arranged in a circle on the floor. In the center of the circle was a birthday cake. My birthday cake. The exact same one from my party earlier that day. "How did you—" I started to ask, but Marcus interrupted me. "Make a wish," he said. "A real wish. It'll come true here. This is a special place." I was scared, but also weirdly curious. I walked to the cake. The candles were already lit somehow. I closed my eyes and made a wish. I wished for my dog Buddy, who had died 6 months earlier, to come back. When I opened my eyes, Marcus was crying. "You shouldn't have wished for that," he whispered. Then I heard it. Scratching. It was coming from the closet in the corner of the room. Slow, deliberate scratching, like nails on wood. Marcus backed away toward the door. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't know it would actually work. I just wanted a friend." The closet door started to open. I saw something move in the darkness inside. Something big. I heard breathing, wet and raspy. Then I heard a bark. It sounded like Buddy, but wrong, distorted. The thing stepped out of the closet. It looked like Buddy, but it was wrong. Its fur was matted and falling off in patches. One eye was missing. Its jaw hung at an odd angle. But worst of all, it recognized me. It started walking toward me, limping, making these horrible whining sounds. I ran. I ran past Marcus, down the hallway, down the stairs, and out into the street. I didn't stop running until I got home. I climbed back through my window and hid under my covers, shaking. The next day, I went to school terrified. But Marcus wasn't there. I asked my teacher about him. She looked confused and said there was no Marcus in our class. I showed her the class photo from the party. She pointed to the empty space at the end of the table where Marcus had sat. "That seat was empty," she said. "See? Only 23 kids. Your mom invited 23 children, but I had 24 presents. I counted them twice. I still have the wooden box Marcus gave me. I've never gone back to that address, but I looked it up online years later. The building burned down 3 days after my birthday. They found remains in apartment 3B, the remains of a child. The police estimated the body had been there for over 30 years. I'm 34 now. I live in a different state. But sometimes on my birthday I hear scratching at my door, and I hear a bark that sounds almost, but not quite, like Buddy. I never open the door, and I never ever make wishes anymore."